Hello, everyone. So we are back with our next session. All right. So 150 must do questions. So part 14. So all of us are already familiar with the grill. Right. This is the crunch time, and we are looking at a mixed bag of problems. Right. So let's make full use of this session. Solve with me. Right. And let's see. That if we can do the questions in the required time. First of all, that is the most important thing. All right, so I hope we are ready to start. Right, here we go. First one. Okay, right, something on ratios. So I'm starting it right away because I think it's a very simple one, so I expect you to give me the answer very quickly. Here we go. So this question gives us basically a relationship between power, voltage, and resistance, right? So we need to write the correct equation corresponding to the given relationship. So the power is directly proportional to the square of the voltage and inversely proportional to the resistance, right? So therefore, power, let's call that P, is directly proportional to V square, V being the voltage, and inversely proportional to resistance. So let's say call it resistance as R, so it will come in the denominator, right? So power is proportional to V square by R. So this is the proportionality, right? We can replace the proportionality symbol by a constant if we want to write an equation, right? So therefore power P is some constant K times V square by R. That is the relationship that exists between these variables. Now voltage is increased by 50%, resistance is reduced by 25%. So then by how much percentage does the power increase? So both the variables change. What happens to voltage V? It increases by 50%. It simply becomes 3 by 2 times of V, 1.5 or 3 by 2, right? I always keep in fraction form, right? I don't write decimals. It makes our calculation part simpler. Resistance R, it decreases by 25%. So 25% means 1/4 decrease. So it becomes 3/4 of the initial. Just replace these parameters now in this equation. So this was the initial values. So what is the new value? P new, right? So it will be K into V square. V is now 3 by 2V. So 3 by 2V the whole square whole upon R, but the new resistance is now 3 by 4 of initial, right? So this, we can just now focus on this coefficient that will come. So 3 by 2 whole square will be 9/5 by 4 and whole upon 3 by 4. So just bring it on the top into 4 by 3 into kv square by r, right? Into kv square by r. So 4 cancels. This is coming to be 3 times of the initial, right? So 3 times of the initial power means it's a 200% increase. Perfect. So I think quite an easy one, right? Okay, Roger is saying A. Let's just check. So voltage was increased by 50%. So it became 3 by 2 times. So 9 by 4, right? Resistance was decreased by 25%. So it became 3/4 of the initial. So 9 by 4 and divide by 3 by 4 into 4 by 3. So Roger, how are you getting A? I think you missed the point because you're getting a factor of 3, so you're saying 300%. So you see, the question is not asking that the final value of the power is what percentage of the initial. Okay, so that's a typical mistake that happens, right? It is 3 times of the initial, so it's not 300% more, it's 200%, isn't it? Right? I hope that is clear. Yeah, it increases by 200%. So you see, these are very fundamentals, right? We should be not having any we should not be making these fundamental mistakes, right? So that's why these sessions we are having, for us to keep our base solid, right? Okay, thank you. Right, so I hope that helps us clarify. Okay, so let's move right to the next one. Here we go. Okay, something on time and distance. Now let me give you some time to make sense of this problem, think on this. All right. Time and distance, we always get one or two questions minimum, right? Very important topic. Okay, so let me start the discussion. If you get this, do let me know. So there is two trains, they're running on parallel tracks, and there are two situations in the problem. Once they are running in the opposite directions, the other time they're running in the same direction. So what is given is that Vidyut Express is twice the length of Cheetah Express. Okay, when traveling in the opposite direction, Vidyut Express, the longer train, covers 90% of its own length during the crossing. So let me take Cheetah Express to be of length L, then Vidyut Express will be of length 2L, right? Now, when the crossing happens, okay, in the opposite direction. So from here, the the longer train Vidyut Express is coming of length 2L, and from here, the shorter train Cheetah Express is coming of length L. What do we know? What is the main thing that we don't know as of now? We don't know anything about the speeds of the two trains. So this further condition that it covers 90% of its own length, uh, our objective should be if we can establish some kind of connection between their speeds, because that is the most important parameter that is not given directly, and I think we have to work on that. Let me take speeds of the two trains, Vidyut Express as X, Cheetah Express as Y in any units, right? Because no as such values are given. Question just gives us this percentage and asks us a kind of a coefficient over here. 4, 6, 8, 9, right? So the question is primarily ratio based, right? So X and Y I'm taking as the speeds of the two trains respectively, right? Now we know that when crossing happens, the two trains collectively together, I'm writing this so that you don't forget, they together will cover a distance equal to the sum of the lengths of the two trains. Okay, Roger has said B. We'll just check Roger. So, right, together they'll cover a distance equal to sum of lengths, which is 3L. Right, 3L. That is what happens. Crossing, whenever crossing happens between two objects, whether in the same direction or in the opposite direction, the total distance covered by the two objects is the sum of the lengths of the two objects, right? So here 3L is what? The total distance covered by the two trains. Now, obviously, when the crossing happens, the two trains are running for the same amount of time. So the distances covered by them will be in the ratio of their speeds. So, therefore, if Vidyut Express has covered 90% of its own length. So we know that this train has covered a distance which is 90% or 0.9 times of its own length, which is 2L. So this is 1.8L. And we know that total distance covered by them together is 3L. It means that Cheetah Express has covered the remaining distance, which is 3 minus 1.8, 1.2L. So my point is, since they're traveling for the same time, so the ratio of the distance covered by them is the ratio of their speeds. 1.8 and 1.2 are in the simplest ratio of 3 is to 2. So therefore, we can conclude that X ratio Y is 3 is to 2. The ratio of the speeds of the two trains is 3 is to 2. Vidyut Express is the faster train. Now, this is the conclusion from the given statement. Okay. Now, let's move to what we have to answer, right? The second phase of the problem. If they travel in the same direction, then the distance covered by Cheetah Express, which is the slower train, is how many times of its own length? And its length we have taken as L. So now when they're running in the same direction, what will happen is, this time the faster train needs to cover a distance which is greater than the distance covered by the slower train, which is equal to the sum of the lengths of the two trains. In simple terms, crossing has to happen. So the train coming from behind, the faster train, just the Vidyut Express, right? It has to cover a distance which is simply 2L plus L, 3L more than the slower train, right? This is L, this is length 2L. This train now has to cover a distance 3L more than the slow train. So my point is, in this case, it is the difference. It is the difference of the distances covered which should be equal to 3L. When crossing happens in the opposite direction, sum of the lengths. This is what we wrote earlier. Remember, together they cover a distance equal to the sum of the lengths, which is 3L. In this case, moving in the same direction, overtaking has to happen. So difference of distances is 3L, and still the distances covered will be in the ratio of their speed, which is 3 is to 2. So in the ratio of 3 is to 2, the faster train has to cover a distance 3L more than the slower. So the difference of 3 and 2 is 3L. So 3 minus 2 is 1. So we need to multiply these numbers with 3L, so that this train will need to cover 9L distance. This train will need to cover 6L distance. And yes, Roger, you're correct. The slower train, which is Cheetah Express, needs to cover a distance which is 6 times of its own length. Right. So I think this is a very good question on concept of crossing of objects. Right. A concept which has been asked many times, not so in the recent years, and this is my best guess that whatever does not appear in some years consecutively has the higher chance to come up again. Right. So I'm placing my bet on some question might appear on crossing of objects. All right. Anyways, whether it happens or not, that's not the concern. I think this is a very important concept. We learned something very useful. Fine. So this is a live session, people. Feel free to, ask your queries, doubts, anything I can repeat, right? I hope this is clear. Can we move on? Right? Okay. Let's see. Next one. Here we go. Okay. I'll give you a few minutes to try. All right. So, well, I hope you're trying. Let me start discussing. Please share answer if you get that. So, rectangular box basically means a cuboid. That's what we are having, right? And then some ratios given over here. Areas of three adjacent faces, right? So we know that a cuboid or a rectangular box, it has, three pairs of congruent faces, rectangular faces, right? Top and bottom, left and right, front and back, right? So if the dimensions are, let's say, x by y by z, so their areas respectively are of the rectangular regions. So their areas will be what? X into y, x into z, y into z, right? So that ratio of those areas is given, and then we have to conclude that which of the following statements is not true. So from four of the options, three of them are true. Whichever is not true, we have to mark as the answer. Well, let's dive in. So what I'm saying, let's say that the dimensions of the rectangular box is x cross y cross z, or let me put it any which way, a cross b cross c. A, b, c are the dimensions, right? So a into b will be one of the areas, ratio a into c will be another area, and b into c will be another area. These three areas are given to be in the ratio of 8 is to 15 is to 20. So this is equivalent to that ratio of 8, 15, 20. Now from here, obviously our objective is that can we conclude what is A is to B is to C. So that's why it's a question of ratios as well as mensuration, right? So we have to simplify this ratio. What is the best way? Can be done in many ways. I will present the simplest one. We know that a ratio remains unchanged when we multiply or divide throughout by a common constant. So what I'll do, on the left hand side, AB is to AC is to BC, I will divide this by ABC, right? So I'm just dividing this throughout with ABC. That does not alter the ratio, right? But that simplifies my work, because what I get, 1 by C, this over here, ratio, here 1 by B, right? And here 1 by A is equivalent to 8, 15, 20, right? So if that is the case, what that tells me is that taking the reciprocal on either sides, C is to B is to A is equivalent to 1 by 8 is to 1 by 15 is to 1 by 20. Which we can further simplify. Now here we have got the ratio in fractions. We don't like to see ratios in fraction form. We'll multiply it throughout with an integer value to make it integer. So 120, I guess, is the LCM of the denominators. 5, 8, 15 and 20. 120 is fine. So multiplying this ratio throughout with the factor of 120, we get 120 by 15, 120 by 15, 8, and 120 by 26. So 15 is to 8 is to 6 is the ratio of the sides of the rectangular box. Perfect. Now we can quickly see what we can conclude, or what is wrong, what is correct. Height of the box. So it is also given box is resting on its two smaller sides as base, which means that if this is how it is placed, let's say, right? So he's saying that you have the sizes, this ratio 15, 8, 6. So 8 by 6 are the dimensions of the base, and 15 is your height in ratio form. In general, it is 8x, 6x, and 15x, right? So we can just work on these numbers. So is the height 150% longer than the smallest side? Yes. 15 versus 6. 15 is 150% more than 6. So this is not my answer. I mean, this is a true statement. So this is not my answer, right? I'm searching for the statement which is false. One side of the base is 25% shorter than the other. Yes, exactly the correct statement. 6 is how much percent is less than 8? 25%. This is also not my answer, because this is also true. The height of the box, 15 again, is 50% longer than the diagonal along the base. So 8 by 6 is a triplet, we know, and therefore 10 is the diagonal along the base. So yes, 15 is 50% more than 10. So therefore this is also not my correct answer. D therefore must be the correct one. Body diagonal is thrice the smallest side. So body diagonal is not coming to be an integer also. It needs to be thrice of the smallest side, which is 3 into 6, 18. But the body diagonal D is coming to be under root of 6 square plus 8 square plus 15 square. So if you calculate this, 6 square plus 8 square will be 10 square, 100, and 15 square is 225. So this is root 325. It is very close to actually thrice of the smallest side, because 324, if it was 324, it would be exactly 18, which is thrice of 6, but it is not exactly. So therefore, that's my correct choice. Isn't it? So a usual question from perspective of mensuration, but ratios perspective, some clever adjustment was required. So questions on this style have been asked. So this is something again you should know how to simplify this kind of ratio, right? We often neglect the this simplification process of ratios. This is very important, right? Has been asked and can be asked. Fine. Okay, moving on, people. I like your response so far. Let's see if you can get the next one. Okay. Now a proper question on geometry, right? Figure is also there. I'll again give you some time. I know you can do this. Geometry, 2-3 questions on an average are expected, right? So again, uh, you should pay some good amount of effort on it, right? Okay, so let's see if you can get this. Okay, so I guess I'm sure you can do this, right? It might take a bit more time, so let me start discussing. If you get the answer, let me know, right? Now, can we say that both? Okay, so what's the question? ABCD is a square, so medians are drawn, BM and CN, right? We are asked that the area of this quadrilateral over here formed by the intersection of the medians, which is A and OB, this quadrilateral, its area is what fraction or what proportion of the area of the square? Since medians are drawn, what I would do is I would take the side length as not A but 2A, so that half of that we can write as simply A. So I'm taking 2A as the side length, so MC is A, the whole of CB is 2A, right? And therefore now percentage of area. Now, obviously, we have to actually focus on the other regions, right? The triangular regions, BMC and DNC, and this triangle MOC formed over here. Can I say both the triangles, which is triangle BMC formed, and the other triangle? I mean, they're simply congruent, isn't it? These two triangles are simply congruent. BMC, right? BMC is congruent to CND. Everything is identical. They are both right angle triangles, and their sides are A by 2A on the right, on the other two legs of the right angle triangle. Here also for C and D also, ND is A and the whole of CD will be 2A. Perfect. And in terms of areas, each of them we can simply say are what percentage of the area of the square. Simply their areas are, each of them have the area of half into a into 2a, half base into height, which is simply a square, whereas the square is the total area, which is 2a whole square. We have taken its side as 2a, so 4a square. So simply both these triangles are 1/4 in area, or 25% of the area of the square. Right. Now, on the other hand, what we have to find is A and OB. What we have to exclude is the other regions, which is these two triangles, right? But they have also common area. So my point is, BMC and NCD have this triangle MOC common. So if I simply add these two areas, so the area MOCB is being double counted. So what I have to exclude, right? If I count what I have to exclude, then mathematically I have to add the areas of BMC and CND. But in doing that, so what has happened is MOC has been double counted. So to count it only once, we have to subtract the area of MOC. So one thing is very clear, the answer must be more than 50. Why? Because what we have to exclude is 25% plus 25%, which is 50%, minus something, this X percent. So I have to find this area MOC is how much percentage. So from 100%, we have to subtract 50 minus X. So we will be left with 50 plus X percent. So option B is ruled out, right? Every other option is possible, right? So okay, so this does not help me much, but I am clear. My answer is more than 50. Now what therefore we have to do to find this X? Well, do look at one thing. Try to interrelate these two triangles, BOC and MOC. You will figure out they are actually similar ones. If I take this angle as theta, then this angle will also be theta because of these two triangles being congruent, right? BMC and CND be congruent. This angle theta is common. Tan theta is half in both the triangles, simply, right? So this angle theta must be same. Now, since MCB is 90 degree, so this angle OCB here, which I'm marking over here with a dot, is 90 minus theta. So therefore in triangle OCB, if this is 90 minus theta, if this is theta, then this must be 90. If this is 90, this is also 90. So very simply, these two triangles are similar, not congruent, similar. Which two triangles? Triangle BOC I'm talking of. BOC is similar to triangle theta 90, 90 minus theta. Here also theta 90, so COM. These two are similar. So my point is, in similarity, we know that the ratio of areas is the square of the ratio of the corresponding sides. If we can find the ratio of corresponding sides, our job is done. Do we know any ratio? Let's see. BO and CO are corresponding sides. Do we know the ratio? BO and CO? No. I mean, something that we know directly in terms of A. Let's see something else. Do we know BC and CM? BC we know 2A. Do we know CM? Yeah, A. Oh my god, simple. 2:1. Right? BC we know 2A, CM will know A. Yes. So if 2:1 is the ratio of this corresponding sides, this is the scaling factor K. Right? This is the scaling factor K. So we know that the ratio of the areas must be is K square, right? So therefore BOC and COM, their areas are in the ratio of the square of their scaling factor, which is 4:1. So the combined these two areas taken together are 25%. So 25% needs to be split in the ratio of 4:1. Simply means this is 20%, this is 5%. And if this is 20, this is 5, then this is also 20. It means my X is 5%. So 25 plus 25, 50 minus X, this is 45%. And if this is 45%, means my answer is 55%. Similarity is the hallmark of triangle problems, right? If you miss similarity, you will miss a triangle problem, right? So therefore, I hope something useful again we have learned. right? How to apply similarity in geometry, right? That was the focus of this question. Apart from the other things, obviously, which we figured out that, that common area is the main thing that we had to focus on. All right. So people, I'm sure you would want to try the next one as well. I'm not getting response lately, but I'm sure you'll give me response with the next few questions, right? Numbers, right? But this counting is not in terms of PNC kind of counting, but more like a pattern-based recognition of the numbers satisfying this divisibility condition. What is the LCM of 235? 30. 235 LCM is 30. So my point is, in every consecutive 30 numbers, you'll always get the same repeating pattern, which means the group of numbers which will not be divisible by either 2 or 3 or 5 in, let's say, the numbers from 1 to 30 range, the same numbers, the same number of numbers, right, will again repeat in the next set of 30 numbers, which is 31 to 60. Let me start writing what I'm saying. From 1 to 30, how many numbers satisfy this condition? Which means they are basically co-prime with all the three divisors 2, 3, 5. Well, just count them. It's not a very large, if it's not a very large range, 1 to 30. So 1 is co-prime with every number, remember. Then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7. Then 8, 9, 10, 11. Then 12, 13. Then 14, 15, 16, 17. Then 18, 19. Then 20, 21, 22, 23. 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are these 8 numbers which are not divisible by any of these 3 divisors, 2, 3, 5. My point is, in every consecutive 30, every grouping of 30 numbers, you'll have these 8 numbers, right? So you can, it's not easy, it's not difficult to understand. In 31 to 60, just add 30 to all these numbers, the same logic will hold true. So 31, 37, 41, 43, 47, 49, 53, 59, and so on. Every grouping of 30 consecutive natural numbers will always contain exactly 8 numbers satisfying this condition. So my counting has to go in the range of 100 to 999, right? How many 3 numbers are satisfying this condition? Now, the catch is the endpoints are not multiples of 30, because my range is going from 100 to 999, 900 numbers. In these 900 numbers, how many are satisfying this condition? So therefore, what we need to do is, since our logic is based on grouping of 30, so just start from the nearest multiple of 30. Like 90 is nearest to 100, 120 is much farther, 90 is nearer. So start the grouping from the group of 91 to 120. They will have 8 numbers. Then the next one, 121 to 150, will have 8 numbers, and so on until the last grouping nearest to a multiple of 30, which is 990, right? So 960, 960 to 990 is the last grouping, which will also have 8 numbers. So my point is, in the first group, the range from 91 to 100, 91 to 99 has to be removed. And then the last grouping, after the last grouping, 991 to 999 has to be included. So some adjustment has to be done. First of all, how many of these groups we have? This is starting from 3 into 30. This is right. This is 3 into 30, 90. After that, and this is 3 into 32, 961 to 990. My bad. Right. So 3 into 30 and 30 into 32. So from 30 into 3 to 30 into 32. So from 3 to 32, these are 30 groups. This is going from 30 into 3 to 30 into 32. So from the third group to the 32nd group, these are, we have taken 30 groups. In 30 groups, how many numbers will be there? 30 times 8, which is 240 numbers will be there. Now comes our adjustment. We have to exclude the numbers in the range of 91 to 99 which are satisfying this condition, which is we have taken by mistake. I mean to adjust our range, right? The actual range is 100 to 999. So from 91 to 99, again look at these numbers, right? So 91 will be the number. My point is add a multiple of 30 to these. So mine is there, so 91 is there. 7 is there, so 97 is there. So these two numbers have to be excluded. They have been included by mistake. And we have to include the numbers in the range from 991 to 999. That has been missed, right? So I guess it's the same thing. I mean, we included 91 and 97. We excluded 91 and 97. And here also we are including 991 and 997. We are including the similar two numbers, right? So therefore, I think what we need to include and we need to exclude are same in counting. So therefore, 240 itself is the answer to this problem, right? Again, this question has been designed again on questions which have been asked recently, right? So this is something that we should be again aware of. So people, just confirm me, everybody in the session, are we clear on this? Can we move to the next one? Just give me a thumbs up, yes, no. If there is any doubt, please ask, because that's what this session is all about, right? We should learn, right? Can we move on? Yes? Ready for the next one? Perfect. Let's see. Here we go. Next one. All right. So I'm sure you would want to try PNC at least. Yes, you can do this. I know. I know. It's a theta question. So no options also to help. And I think in PNC, no options can actually ever help, isn't it? In counting problems, we have to count. I mean, you cannot backtrack. You can do this. You can do this. I know. Just give it your thought. Just, just, just look at the constraints. You can get this one. Let me know what you're getting. This time you must answer, people. Please show some response. And if you have any specific thing that you want to clarify, you can ask. Okay. Well, what happened, people? I think you should get this one. Okay, so we have a set consisting of 8 numbers, right? These are 8 numbers. We need to have so there are these conditions we need to take care of. We need to have at least one from 13 and 17. So from 13 and 17, we need at least one. How many ways we can select at least one from here? Well, either we can select 13 only, or we can select 17 only, or we can select both of them. So there are 3 ways to select from 13 and 17. Either select 13 or select 17, or select both 13 and 17. Include at most one element from 357. At most one. So how many ways we can select from 357? Either select nothing, at most one, so less than equal to 1. So you can select either 0 elements or 1 element. So 0 element, one way to select nothing, one way, or select 3, or select 5, or select 7. So 4 ways to select from 357. What are those 4 ways? Nothing, or 3, or 5, or 7. Now from the 8 elements, we have dealt with the 5 elements. There are still 3 elements remaining, which is 2, 11, 19. There is no condition on them. We can choose to select whatever we want. So how many ways we can select from here? Now, so with each element we have 2 ways. 2 either select or not, 2 ways. 11 whether select or not, 2 ways to decide. 19 select or not, 2 ways. So overall our selection process is divided into these sequential selection way processes, right? So therefore 3 ways into 4 ways into 2 ways into 2 ways into 2 ways, 96 ways, right? 3 into 4, 12, 12 to the 24, 24 to the 48, 48 to the 96. Total ways 96 that you can do your selection. People, I want some response. Are we clear? Give me a thumbs up, give me yes or no, so that I'm sure that we are connected, that we are getting the things right. Can you please show me your response? Are you clear on this, what we have done? Yes or no? On the chat box, can you please revert to me? Clear, everyone? Okay. Perfect. So next one, here we go. Time and work. Let's see. Okay, so I'm diving in. Let me, and you also try along with me, right? Let's see. Amit can complete a project in 100 days by working 8 hours per day, while Sumit can complete the same project in 120 days working 5 hours per day. For both of the two persons, how many days they take and how many hours they will work each day is given. So in terms of man hours, the work can be defined both for both Amit and Sumit. Now what we can do here is we can define a rate for the two people as variables, right? I think the first and foremost thing here is to establish a connection between their work rates. question is asking if Amit now works 6 hours daily and Sumit works 8 hours daily and both work together on the project, in how many days will they finish it? Perfect. So to answer the question, we have to establish how their work rate is related. Let me say that Amit can work some A units in 1 hour and Sumit can work some B units in 1 hour. So this is, I'm taking two variables for their work rate, right? So the total work, we know work is rate into time. So the total work for Amit, it is rate of A and time of 100 into 8, 800 hours. So 800 working hours of Amit. 800 A is the work. Also the same work is for Sumit, it is 120 into 5, 600, hours for Sumit. So the same work is equals 120 into 5, 600 into B. 800 A equals 600 B. So now you can see that we're getting the ratio of A is to B, right? A by B is coming to be 600 by 800 or 3 by 4. So A ratio B is 3 by 4. So can I say, let's take A as 3, B as 4, because we can assign any suitable numbers. So the smallest numbers that we can take, let's take that. Let's take the work rate as 3 units and 4 units for Amit and Sumit respectively. Perfect. So therefore, the total work W comes to be how much? 800 into 3. A we have taken as 3, or whether as we take as 600 into 4, the same thing, 2400 units of work. This is the total work, right? Now we can come to the question. So from the given information, we have established the work rate, we have taken it as a suitable value, then we have went on to define the total work, isn't it? Hence, we can now say that, okay, now Amit works 6 hours and Sumit works 8 hours. So for this total work that we have defined, 2400, now we can define the new total rate at which the work is being done per day. Now they're working together. Amit now works 6 hours daily. So 6A units of work is done. And for Sumit, 8 hours. So 8B units of work is done. So in total, 6A plus 8B is the combined working rate, wherein we have taken A3, B4. So 6 into 3, this is 18. 8 into 4, this is 32. 32 and 18. So 50 units per day is the work rate. Hence, we can finally conclude that the time taken for doing the work of 2400 units, so time is work upon the rate, so 2400 divided by 50, 0 cancels, 240 by 5, 48 days. That is your answer to the question, isn't it? Perfect. So time and work, again, so this kind of question in which hours are given, right, and two people, how much time they're taking, how many days, working so many hours. So this is the best way to proceed. Take the work rates as the variable, equate the total work for the two people as we did in the first step, 800A equals 600B. From there you get the ratio of the work rate. Hence you go on to again define the total work in terms of what you have assumed. Remember, this was your assumption. So from this assumption of numbers, we can then define the total work. Hence we can answer. Perfect. Okay, let's see next one. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Arun, Barun, Charu, Dhawan and Isha were talking among themselves. Okay, so some statements are given over here, and each of them are making some kind of percentage based relationship. For Arun is saying I have 50% more coins than Dhawan. Arun is saying this, and so on. So obviously, there's a question in which from the percentage statements we have to see how the number of coins are related amongst the persons. Only the last statement is giving me some number actually. So I guess from here, the first four statements we can establish some kind of ratios, and then we can look at the last statement and get the numbers. That's the overall agenda, right? Okay, so therefore from the first one, B is to D, right? Barun is saying I have 50. So I'll take capital A, B, C, D, E as a number of coins with them respectively, right? So B is to D is 3 is to 2 from the first statement. 50% more means 1.5 or 3 by 2 times. So B ratio D is 3:2, right? From the next statement, Arun is saying I have 25% more than Dhawan. So A ratio D comes how much? 1.25, 25% more. So 1.25 is 5 by 4. So this ratio is 5:4. These two ratios can be connected because both sides D Dhawan is common. So 4 here, 2 here. Just make this 4. So make this as 6:4. So I guess over here we can conclude A is to B is to D. We have got A is 5 in ratio form. B is 6, D is 4. 5:6:4. We have merged the ratios. Similarly, now we have to include C and E into the picture. Okay. So let's see Barun's statement now, because the third statement, Charu and Isha, both are two different new variables. First, look at Barun and Isha. So B is to E. We can interconnect. So Barun is saying I have 4% less coins. 4%. Thank you, Prabhakar. Thank you, Prabhakar. Finally, I got the correct answer. Thank you, Prabhakar, so much. Good to see someone is actively solving the questions as we are doing. Good. Very well done. Prabhakar, you're correct. All right, so B is to E. Barun is saying I have 4% less. 4% is 1 by 25 fraction. So Barun's coins are 1 by 25 less. So they are 1 minus 1 by 25, which is 24 by 25 times of Isha's coins. So the ratio of Barun is to Isha, can we say, is 24 is to 25 from here? I hope that is clear. From any percentage comparison, how we get the ratio. That's all that is there in this question. Now Barun here is 6, here it is 24. So to merge this ratio, A, B, D and B is to E, now I'll merge these two, right? So I need to multiply this ratio with into 4, because 6 into 4, 24 will be matching here, right? So therefore into 4, A, B, D, E. So A, B, D is 5 into 4, 20, 6 into 4, 24, 4 into 4, 16. Now, therefore, B is to E was 24 is to 25. So now I have connected this also. So I've got A, B, D, E. Only now C is remaining. Now we can come to the last, this one. Charu is saying I have 20% more coins than Isha. Isha is already 25. So we can directly now conclude A, B, C, D, E. We can just write for C. C's coins are 20% more than E's coins, which is 25. 20% of that means 1/5 or 25 is 5. So increase 25 by 5, 30. So C's coins in ratio form are 30. 20% more of 25 is 30. So 20 is to 24 is to 30 is to 16 is to 25. Clearly, Isha has the largest number of coins. So it is her number of coins which will be the answer. Finally, Arun is saying I have 20 less coins than Barun. Means the difference of these two numbers should be 20. 24 minus 20 is 4. 4 into 5 is 20. So we need to multiply these numbers throughout with a factor of 5 to get the actual values. So the number of coins actually with the persons, with the 5 persons is 100. 20 into 5, 24 into 5, 120. 30 into 5, 150. 16 into 5, 80. 25 into 5, 125. And therefore, you can see the difference of 20 is now appearing 100 and 120. And therefore, the answer is 150. Arithmetic rests so much and is heavily dependent on your clarity on percentages and ratios. Right? So we have done a lot of questions today on percentages and ratios, isn't it? So I'm sure you'll be taking something from this session, right? So with this, I think we can conclude and hope to see you next time. Right? Do let me know what topics bug you the most. I would love to take another session in which I am focusing on those topics more in which you are facing the challenge. So leave your suggestions on the comment box of this video, right? So that I can come back to you with topics which need attention. I'm always bringing what I find irrelevant, but I would also seek your suggestions. Fine. So with that, thank you so much. Just to let you know, Career Launcher mobile app is also available now. So make use of it. as part of your learning process, right? Many ways to get connected with us, and we have come up with something quite useful for the students, right? All right, available on both iOS and Android, both, right? Thank you, people. Thank you so much. See you in the next one. Thank you.